released in 2022. This 1/6 scale Dracula by Kaustic Plastik and Infinite Statue from the 1931 horror classic of the same name is quite a weighty entry for this channel. Not because of the hefty accessories that it comes with, but because of this character's historical and cultural significance. Based on Bram Stoker's novel Dracula, the titular vampire was first brought to the silver screen with sound by Hungarian and American actor Bela Lugosi. Even though his portrayal of Dracula was vastly different from the book in both appearance and mannerism, his performance was so enthralling, he became an instant icon for the genre. In the century that followed, Lugosi's depiction of the undead count became the inspiration for many cliches. From those generic vampire costumes at your local Halloween store, to this popular serial mascot,
Count Dracula.
This role model for teaching kids to count.
Oh, greetings, it is I, the Count.
And this video gaming gem.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets.
But enough talk. Let's see how this figure stacks up against the legend himself. As for likeness, Kaustic Plastik and Infinite Statue had knocked it out of the park with these two head sculpts. Dracula's powerful presence and commanding authority were not lost in translation. The details in the chin, wrinkles, and freckles are subtle. The proportions of the eyes, nose, and face are perfect. Crazy thing is, these portraits become more alive depending on the lighting and viewing angle. The snarling portrait on the left, for instance, shining a light beneath gets you that campfire horror story face. The other one might look like a straight face that's typical of the hobby, but when viewed from below, you'll notice there's a sinister glare in Dracula's eyes. I'm absolutely loving these portraits, but I do have a few nits. First is that the hairline on the back ends with such a clean line that it's almost unnatural. Also, the paint app has this slightly reflective finish on it, which is strange to see in a modern 6-scale figure. Lugosi was amongst the first to portray Dracula with an air of refinement, so naturally, the tux and cape he wears are a big deal. Starting with the dress shirt, the collar and bow tie sit really well. Almost no futzing is needed, even when you swap head sculpts. The bow tie looks slightly too big, but that could be just me. The vest has a decorative chain that connects to both front pockets. It's really too bad though, there's no option for the monocle that Dracula wears like a necklace. The collar and lapels on the jacket are neat and tidy, but do watch out for these glued-on buttons, as they might come off if you anchor your fingers on them too often. Same goes for these two buttons on the back that are just above these fabulous twin coat tails. Sadly, I wasn't able to consistently get the shirt to stick out from the cuffs of the jacket, but the pants are nicely tailored, complete with a shimmery stripe on both sides. The length is also spot on, so the cuffs hang just above the shoes. The dress shoes themselves are one sculpted piece, but there's actual fabric lacing in each, which is a really nice detail. Lastly, we have this tremendous cape that's arguably the trademark of this character. The red inner layer is bright and shiny. The black outer layer is complete with a decorative stitching, with a wired lining around the signature collar, so it hugs perfectly onto the neck. Now, I've never actually worn a cape before, but I think I figured out how to put this on. Take the string on each side, slide it inside and behind the jacket, tuck the ends to tighten, then tie a simple knot behind the coattail. Once it's all done, this cape brings a slice of the grand gothic atmosphere right to your display. Understandably, articulations are somewhat limited given the nature of the costume. The most regrettable thing is that Dracula can't raise his arms too far in any direction before his tuxedo starts to bend out of shape, so he can't hold out his arms straight in front for that iconic mind control pose. But he can bend his elbows without tugging the sleeves too high. The torso bend is also very robust, so he could sit up from his coffin. The pelvis, legs, and knees are otherwise fairly typical, and the ankle joints are very stiff, which feels like a luxury these days. Now, Dracula is all about his imposing presence, but they still went all out with a small but fitting selection of accessories. First is the candelabra that Dracula carried around the castle when greeting Renfield. Though the candle could be larger, the holder does have that screen-accurate dragon motif. There's also a bit of what looks like cotton glued onto the tip for that burning effect. It comes across as a bit too smoky for me, but I definitely appreciate the effort and creativity. The details and variety of the hand parts are also worth commending. The many twisted poses perfectly capture Dracula's gestures. The paint app and veiny textures are also very lifelike. Almost every pose has an alternate version with sharper nails. Even the letter D logo on the ring is discernible. Then we have this display base, with a nameplate here for not Dracula, but Bela Lugosi himself, as he was so indelibly associated with the role. The maker's logos are also textured on the bottom. You might notice there isn't a support stem, and that's because the outsoles of the shoes are equipped with magnets, so they snap nice and tight to the base surface, which in turn is also loaded with magnets in the top layer. And since the ankle joints are so sturdy, Dracula can stand firmly without the hindrance of a support stem. Now that's ingenuity in design. And finally, the deluxe version also comes with Dracula's massive coffin. It's made of polystone, weighing in at about 4.4 pounds. The upside of this overusing actual wood is that the grainy textures are consistent across production. The downside is that these ring-like handles are part of the sculpt, but this isn't too big a deal. There are also some creative liberties taken with the design, as this beautiful emblem was not at all in the movie, even if it looks great and fits well with the theme. There was also never really a consensus as to which side the coffin should open from, but these hinges work well here and looks great for your diorama setup. The inside looks like a layer of shimmery fabric, but it's actually part of the polystone sculpture, which is a testament to the level of effort that went into these. Funnily enough, Dracula rising from his coffin was only merely implied in the movie. Nonetheless, this imagery is synonymous with the horror genre. I don't have that many movie villains with superpowers in my collection, so for the size comparison, here we have Darth Vader from Star Wars A New Hope by Hot Toys. Then from the Harry Potter series by Star Ace, we have Voldemort, or Voldemort, or however J.K. Rowling decides to pronounce it these days. Anyways, Lugosi himself is about 6'1", which means this figure is a bit too short, as it's a quarter shy of 12 inches. So there you have it, the 1/6 scale Count Dracula by Kaustic Plastik and Infinite Statue. These companies have nothing but love for their source material, and it really shows in their final product. Some minor things could be better in the articulations and costume, sure, but the sheer versatility of the head sculpts and the astonishing caliber and presentation makes this release a worthy contender for a spot in your classic horror collection. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.